Well, there are many things, but I would stress two. One is two divides that we really try to bridge in the program. The first is the divide between theory and practice. Conflict and conflict resolution are practice-oriented fields, but there are also ones that are theoretically informed. And so in all of the core classes, including the thesis, we really try to build a connection between understanding theory, but also being able to work from practitioners' experience in the field and the problems they face. The second is the bridge between the kinds of conflicts that often occur in the global south, violent conflicts and armed conflicts, which have generally been treated as a separate class of conflicts than the conflicts that currently raise problems in established democracies, and we really see them as having a lot in common and a lot of lessons to speak to each other, and so we try to bridge those two divides. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I think, is the students themselves. It's an interdisciplinary program, which means that the students are diverse in their backgrounds, and it's also a quite international program, which means you are then in a class with students who come from many different cultural and national backgrounds. And the diversity in the class really works for the character of the program, because if you work on conflict, you're going to be facing people who look at the world in different ways, and because of the student body itself, we're able to do that in the classroom.
I've always been interested in conflict. Initially that resulted in me picking neuropsychology as a program, but as I progressed, I realized that I wanted to look broader than just personal or interpersonal conflict, and I stumbled upon this program. What I like about it is that it has a very international focus, but it doesn't shy away from local conflict, national conflict. And on top of that, it was an interdisciplinary master's, so coming from a psychology background, that's exactly what I was looking for. It's a small program. There's no 500 students in a classroom. It's more likely 30 students in a classroom, which also creates this sense of community. It's a smaller group, it's more focused, and there's just a lot more attention to you as a student.
The basic structure of the program is 3 core courses, so you're with your cohort of fellow students throughout the year, and one elective. I'll talk about the core courses. The first one starts with theory, a broad interdisciplinary body of theory, and links it to practice through a case study. The second starts with practice, and we learn from experienced practitioners who work as activists, who work as peace builders and peacekeepers, and who work as mediators in diverse conflicts around the world. A key component of that class is a workshop on conflict resolution and negotiation, in which we develop both the students' capacity to negotiate and their ability to theorize negotiations simultaneously through a series of simulations in which they act, reflect, and then build up their ability to understand. The thesis seminar then brings these together in the spring, and the focus of that is on developing the individual interests and focus of students into a researchable project that they then complete within the time.
There's 2 things I like most. First, the negotiation workshop that you do in January, and then the thesis that you do afterwards. The negotiation workshop works really well because you've had all this practice, you've had all these practitioners and this theory, and now it's up to you. You go actually do negotiation. And you do that in a 6-day program. You start with negotiations and then you reflect. You think, what happened here? How do we make sense of this? The other thing that I enjoyed even more was the thesis. So the thesis project runs for about 4 months, and it's really up to you. It's your interest that you put into that. So you have all this theory, all this practice as your background, and now it's up to you. You pick what you find interesting and how you're going to research that. And the teacher, you're linked to a teacher that will support you in this, in the methodology and the content of your thesis.
Some go to work in government. At the national level, that includes the ministries of domestic affairs, foreign affairs, and defense. Also at the international, at the European level, within the EU. Many go to work for non-governmental or quasi-governmental organizations, the International Red Cross, for instance. And others go on to do more directly dispute resolution work for organizations like the Dialogue Advisory Group, which is based in Amsterdam, or the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue. One former student is working as a mediator for them in the Pacific Rim. He's based in Singapore. So that gives an idea of a range of places that people end up at.
So my advice would be to really think about what it is that you want. You get so much freedom in this program to actually focus on the things you find interesting. So think about this, but keep an open mind. Be ready to also be surprised, because I know my views changed when I started this program, and I definitely didn't think I would end up researching what I did. But already think about this before you get started.